There is something happening inside your brain right now that most physicians never discuss with their patients, and it begins the moment you fall asleep. Every night, during the deep stages of sleep, your brain activates a remarkable internal maintenance system. It flushes out toxic waste that accumulated during the day. It strengthens the neural connections that hold your memories in place. It rebuilds the cellular structures that keep your thinking sharp and your mind clear. I'm Dr. Elena Marsh, a geriatric physician and brain health specialist with over 20 years of clinical experience working with adults over 60. And what I want to tell you today is this: that overnight repair system is real. It is scientifically documented, and after 60, it is quietly becoming less effective. Not because your brain has given up, but because it is not receiving the specific nutritional raw materials it needs to do its job. What you eat in the hours before bed determines whether your brain rebuilds itself tonight or continues accumulating damage it cannot clear. Today, I am walking you through 5 whole foods available at any American grocery store that deliver exactly what your aging brain needs to run its nighttime repair operations at full capacity. Each one targets a different critical aspect of the process. Together, they form a complete system. Stay with me through food number 2. The mechanism behind it genuinely surprises most of my patients. Before we get to the foods, I want to take 2 minutes to explain something that will make everything else make sense. Because once you understand what is happening in your brain while you sleep, the importance of these foods becomes undeniable. Your brain does not rest when you sleep. That is one of the most persistent myths in health. During deep, slow-wave sleep, your brain is actually one of the most metabolically active organs in your body, but it has shifted from performance mode into maintenance mode. During deep sleep, a system called the glymphatic system activates. The spaces between your brain cells expand by as much as 60%, and cerebrospinal fluid rushes through those expanded channels, flushing out metabolic waste, including a protein fragment called beta amyloid, the same sticky plaque that accumulates in Alzheimer's disease. Everyone produces beta amyloid daily as a normal byproduct of brain activity. The critical question is whether your brain can clear it out fast enough each night. Simultaneously, your hippocampus, the brain's memory center, replays and consolidates the day's experiences, transferring them from short-term to long-term storage by strengthening synaptic connections. This process is called memory consolidation, and it requires healthy, well-functioning brain cell membranes, adequate neurotransmitter production, and sufficient cellular energy to run throughout the night. After 60, every one of these processes slows down. The cleanup channels don't open as wide. Neurotransmitter production declines. Cellular energy systems become less efficient. The repair crew is still showing up, but it's working with outdated tools and an empty supply cabinet. These 5 foods restock that cabinet. Let's begin. Food number 1: wild salmon. Every one of your approximately 100 billion brain cells is surrounded by a membrane, a living, active structure that controls how efficiently signals travel between neurons. That membrane is made primarily of a fat called DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, which constitutes 15 to 20% of the total fat content of your cerebral cortex. After 60, the DHA content of brain cell membranes measurably declines. This has been confirmed in autopsy studies, and that decline directly correlates with slower signal transmission, impaired memory consolidation during sleep, and reduced cognitive performance. Wild salmon, particularly sockeye and king varieties, provides one of the highest concentrations of preformed DHA found in any food. A single 6-ounce serving delivers approximately 1,500 milligrams. Unlike plant-based omega-3 sources such as flaxseed or walnuts, which contain a precursor your body must convert through an inefficient process, the DHA in salmon is ready for immediate use. Your body absorbs it and delivers it directly to brain tissue without conversion. But DHA is not the only reason wild salmon earns the top position. Salmon is one of the rare dietary sources of astaxanthin, the carotenoid pigment that gives salmon its pink-red color. Most antioxidants cannot cross the blood-brain barrier, the tightly regulated gateway protecting brain tissue. Astaxanthin is a documented exception. Once inside the brain, it embeds directly into cell membranes and neutralizes free radicals precisely at the site where oxidative damage is most threatening during overnight repair. Wild salmon also provides vitamin B12 in a highly bioavailable form, critical because B12 maintains the myelin sheath, the insulating layer around nerve fibers that allows electrical signals to travel quickly and cleanly between neurons. After 60, stomach acid production declines, reducing B12 absorption from many foods. Wild salmon remains one of the most reliable dietary sources, regardless of this change. Low B12 has been associated with measurable brain shrinkage in imaging studies. Not a theoretical risk, a documented one. How to use it? 2 to 3 servings of wild-caught salmon per week, with at least 1 serving at dinner. Eating it in the evening places DHA, astaxanthin, and B12 in your bloodstream during the first deep sleep cycles, when glymphatic cleaning and early memory consolidation are most active. Baked, poached, or pan-seared in olive oil are all excellent preparations. Choose wild-caught specifically. Farmed salmon has significantly lower astaxanthin content and a less favorable omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. Food number 2. Tart cherries. If wild salmon is the construction material for your brain's overnight repairs, tart cherries are the scheduling manager, ensuring the repair shift actually begins on time and runs for its full duration. Tart cherries, specifically the Montmorency variety, are one of the only significant whole food sources of naturally occurring melatonin. And melatonin's role in brain health goes considerably beyond its reputation as a sleep aid. Melatonin is a potent antioxidant with a unique cascade activity. Unlike most antioxidants that neutralize one free radical and become inactive, melatonin generates active metabolites when it neutralizes a free radical, meaning a single molecule can neutralize multiple free radicals in sequence. This makes it extraordinarily efficient at protecting brain tissue from the oxidative stress generated during overnight repair operations. After 60, melatonin production declines dramatically. A 70-year-old often produces half or less of what they produced at 25. Research from Louisiana State University found that older adults with insomnia who drank tart cherry juice twice daily gained an average of 84 additional minutes of sleep, including increased time in the deep, slow wave stages, where glymphatic cleaning occurs most intensively. Tart cherries also contain anthocyanins, the deep red pigments that give them their color, which reduce neuroinflammation by inhibiting a molecular pathway called NF-κB, one of the master switches for inflammatory gene expression in the brain. Chronic low-grade neuroinflammation is a primary driver of age-related memory decline, and most people over 60 have no idea it is occurring. A 12-week study published in Food and Function found that older adults consuming tart cherry juice daily showed significant improvements in visual and spatial memory tasks. Additionally, tart cherries contain meaningful tryptophan, not only a protein building block, but the precursor your brain uses to manufacture serotonin and ultimately melatonin. Tart cherries provide both immediate melatonin delivery and the raw material for sustained production. How to use it? 1 glass of 100% tart cherry juice concentrate, diluted. A portion of frozen Montmorency tart cherries or unsweetened dried tart cherries, consumed 1 to 2 hours before bed. This timing aligns the melatonin peak with your natural sleep onset window. Avoid sweet cherries for this purpose. They do not contain comparable concentrations of melatonin or anthocyanins. Food number 3. Whole eggs with the yolk. I want to address something directly because I still see patients in their 60s and 70s discarding egg yolks based on dietary advice they received decades ago. That advice was built on evidence that has since been substantially revised, and following it may be actively working against your brain health. The yolk is where the brain-critical nutrients live, specifically choline. Choline is the primary building block of acetylcholine, one of the neurotransmitters most directly involved in memory formation, learning, attention, and the regulation of sleep architecture, particularly REM sleep, when emotional memory processing occurs. After 60, acetylcholine levels decline significantly. The primary class of drugs used to treat Alzheimer's disease works by preventing the breakdown of whatever acetylcholine remains, which tells you how central this single neurotransmitter is to memory function. A study published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition found that fewer than 10% of Americans meet the adequate daily intake for choline. One large egg yolk provides approximately 150 milligrams. 2 to 3 whole eggs per day puts adults meaningfully closer to the 425 to 550 milligrams daily target for their age group. The choline in egg yolk comes in a form called phosphatidylcholine, highly bioavailable and directly incorporated into brain cell membranes and acetylcholine synthesis. Egg yolks also provide lutein and zeaxanthin, carotenoids typically associated with eye health, but increasingly linked to brain function. Research from the University of Illinois found that lutein accumulates in brain tissue, and higher brain lutein concentrations are associated with better cognitive performance in older adults. Vitamin D in egg yolks is equally important. Vitamin D receptors are concentrated throughout the brain, with the highest density in the hippocampus, the primary site of memory consolidation during sleep. Research published in JAMA Neurology found that low vitamin D status was associated with significantly faster cognitive decline over multi-year follow-up periods. Regarding cholesterol, the 2015 to 2020 Dietary Guidelines for Americans removed the previous recommendation to limit dietary cholesterol, specifically because the evidence did not support it. Your liver regulates cholesterol production in response to dietary intake, and cholesterol itself is a critical structural component of brain cell membranes. Your brain contains roughly 25% of all the cholesterol in your body, despite representing only 2% of your body weight. Avoiding cholesterol-rich foods while your brain is trying to rebuild synapses overnight is counterproductive. How to use it? 2 to 3 whole eggs daily, with at least some consumed at dinner. Soft scrambled or poached preserves the most nutritional integrity. Pair with spinach, discussed next. The fat in egg yolk significantly enhances absorption of spinach's fat-soluble nutrients. Food number 4. Walnuts. Every food so far has addressed a specific aspect of nighttime brain repair. Walnuts target something different: the cellular energy infrastructure that powers the entire repair process. Here is the mechanism. Walnuts contain ellagic acid, which your gut bacteria metabolize into compounds called urolithins, particularly urolithin A. Urolithin A activates a cellular process called mitophagy, your cell's quality control system for identifying and removing damaged mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside every cell. After 60, mitochondria accumulate oxidative damage and become progressively less efficient, generating less energy and more cellular waste. Your brain, despite representing only 2% of body mass, consumes roughly 20% of your total energy. When brain cell mitochondria falter, every nighttime repair process suffers. The glymphatic system loses the energy to drive fluid flow. Memory consolidation slows. Neurotransmitter production becomes inefficient. A landmark study published in Nature Medicine demonstrated that urolithin A restored mitophagy efficiency and improved mitochondrial function in older adults. Subsequent research has shown parallel benefits in brain tissue. Walnuts also provide the highest polyphenol content of any commonly consumed nut, nearly double that of almonds, including compounds with well-documented anti-neuroinflammatory effects. The Nurses' Health Study, one of the largest long-running nutritional studies ever conducted, found that women consuming 5 or more weekly servings of nuts, with walnuts being most frequent, performed measurably better on cognitive assessments than non-nut consumers. How to use it? Approximately 1 ounce daily, roughly 14 walnut halves, a small palmful. Eat at dinner or as an evening snack. The conversion of ellagic acid to urolithins by gut bacteria is a slow process that unfolds overnight, so evening consumption optimally times the urolithin A peak with your cellular maintenance phase. The gut bacteria that perform this conversion also increase in abundance with regular walnut consumption, meaning the benefit grows the longer you maintain the habit. Food number 5. Dark leafy spinach. Spinach completes this system by providing what I think of as the biological infrastructure, the molecular mechanisms that make everything else work more effectively. The most critical contribution is natural folate. Folate drives a biochemical process called methylation, the transfer of molecular groups between compounds that controls gene expression, DNA repair, neurotransmitter production and recycling, and myelin maintenance. During sleep, methylation activity increases significantly. Your brain uses it to repair DNA damage accumulated during the day, to regulate the genetic switches involved in synaptic plasticity, and to produce and recycle the neurotransmitters required for memory consolidation. 1 cup of cooked spinach provides approximately 260 micrograms of folate, over 60% of the daily recommended intake in the natural, food-based form your body can use efficiently. Up to 40% of the population carries genetic variants that make synthetic folic acid from supplements and fortified foods poorly absorbed. Food-based folate from spinach bypasses this bottleneck entirely. Spinach is also one of the richest dietary sources of dietary nitrates, which your body converts into nitric oxide, a molecule that dilates blood vessels and improves cerebral blood flow. Research from Wake Forest University found that a high nitrate diet increased blood flow specifically to the frontal lobes in older adults, the region governing executive function, planning, and working memory. Eating spinach at dinner means nitric oxide levels remain elevated throughout early sleep, when glymphatic cleaning and early memory consolidation are most active. Spinach's magnesium content, approximately 157 milligrams per cup of cooked spinach, supports both synaptic plasticity and deep sleep quality. Research from MIT found that elevated brain magnesium levels enhanced synaptic density and improved both short-term and long-term memory in aging animal models. Magnesium also activates GABA receptors, the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter system that facilitates sleep onset, and helps regulate cortisol, whose elevation at night disrupts sleep architecture. Finally, spinach provides vitamin K for sphingolipid synthesis and myelin maintenance, vitamin E, which works alongside salmon's astaxanthin to protect brain cell membranes from oxidative damage, and lutein, which accumulates in brain tissue and supports neuroprotection in memory-critical regions. How to use it? 1 cup of cooked spinach or 2 cups of fresh spinach daily with dinner. Cooking spinach increases bioavailability of folate and lutein by breaking down cell walls that would otherwise limit absorption. Sauté briefly in olive oil. The fat enhances absorption of all fat-soluble compounds. Season with garlic and black pepper. Simple, inexpensive, and among the highest nutritional density per dollar of any food in any American supermarket. These 5 foods were chosen because together they form an integrated system, not a random list of healthy foods. Each fills a specific gap that the others do not. Here is how they work as a complete evening nutrition protocol. Dinner, 3 to 4 hours before bed. Wild salmon plus sautéed spinach in olive oil plus 2 to 3 whole eggs, or rotate eggs with salmon across the week, plus a small handful of walnuts as a side 1 to 2 hours before bed. 1 glass diluted tart cherry juice concentrate, or a small portion of dried tart cherries. The synergies between these foods are real and documented. DHA from salmon plus vitamin E from spinach together protect cell membranes. One provides the structural fat, the other prevents its oxidation. Melatonin from tart cherries plus magnesium from spinach. Both promote deep sleep through independent mechanisms, creating a more robust combined effect. Choline from eggs plus folate from spinach. Both essential for the methylation cycle, each requiring the other to function efficiently. Nitric oxide from spinach. Improves delivery of DHA, astaxanthin, choline, and urolithins to brain tissue, the infrastructure that makes every other food more effective. 3 clinical misconceptions I want to address clearly. I can supplement my way to the same result. Whole foods provide nutrients in complex biological matrices, alongside cofactors, companion compounds, and structural fats that dramatically enhance absorption and utilization. The choline in an egg yolk is packaged with phospholipids that facilitate its incorporation into cell membranes. The DHA in salmon arrives alongside astaxanthin that prevents its oxidation. The folate in spinach comes with magnesium that participates in related methylation pathways. Isolated supplements do not replicate these synergies. They have their place, but they do not replace the integrated benefit of whole foods eaten consistently. These foods only matter if I already have memory problems. The glymphatic system and memory consolidation processes I've described operate every night throughout your adult life. The window to support them is now, before measurable decline appears, not after. The beta-amyloid accumulation linked to Alzheimer's disease begins silently 15 to 20 years before any symptoms become detectable. Prevention is always more effective than treatment. Eating these foods occasionally is enough. The research showing measurable improvements in brain blood flow, memory consolidation, and mitochondrial function reflects consistent daily intake over weeks to months. Occasional consumption produces marginal benefit. These foods need to become regular evening habits, as routine as taking your medications to produce the cumulative effects the studies document. One clinical note. If you manage kidney disease, spinach's oxalate and potassium content is relevant. Take blood-thinning medications. Vitamin K in spinach may require dose monitoring, or have fish allergies. Discuss these dietary changes with your physician before making them routine. Your brain is not a machine that passively deteriorates with time. It is a living, adaptive organ that fights to maintain and rebuild itself every single night through a remarkable biological system that science has only recently begun to fully document. But that system cannot function without specific raw materials. After 60, your body becomes less efficient at producing many of those materials on its own. The gap between what your brain needs and what your diet is providing may be larger than you realize, and its consequences accumulate silently, year after year, long before any symptoms become visible. Wild salmon, tart cherries, whole eggs, walnuts, and dark leafy spinach each address a different pillar of that overnight repair process. Together, they give your sleeping brain the complete toolkit it needs to clean house, rebuild connections, and protect itself against the accumulating damage of aging. Start tonight. 1 or 2 of these foods at dinner. Build the habit over the next 2 weeks. Your brain is doing the work every night. Your job is simply to give it what it needs to succeed. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 foods are you already eating before bed, and which one surprised you most today? If this was valuable to you, please share it with someone you care about, give it a like, and subscribe for more evidence-based guidance designed specifically for adults over 60. Take good care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.